Let's go to the field, and we'll pull a former player.
I'll go with you.
Bret Boone is nice enough to join us, a former participant in the Home Run Derby, and, of course, Seattle Mariner for many years. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
We're good, man. So what's the scene like right now?
It is. I'm going from event to event, and I'm in between events right now. But it's, you know what, it's really cool. I was here in '01, for the last time the All-Star game was here, and the city really turns out. I think nowadays they do such a good job at these big events. But for the old guys like us getting to come back and see a lot of the guys that we played with and a lot of my teammates from that '01 Mariners team, I'll tell you, I'm running around chicken with my head cut off, but it's actually been a lot of fun.
You have a new podcast, right? I know you've been doing it for a while here. I saw you had a big lineup yesterday. Tell us about the podcast.
Yeah, it's Odyssey. We just became partners with Odyssey Sports, who's now my partner. I started a few years ago during COVID, and it just kind of took off. So I do it 3 times a week, and so far so good. We're gonna have some more guests tomorrow, more kind of Mariners legends. I'm probably going to bring Jamie Moyer and Alvin Davis and Lou Piniella. We're gonna do it on site here tomorrow at 11 o'clock. But it's great. I mean, it's 3 times a week, and it kind of keeps me into the game.
Man, I'm a Yankee fan. I don't know if I can listen to Moyer. That was one of those guys. I'm like, I don't understand what the hell is happening and why everyone can't hit 83 miles an hour. But he was Bret. He was one of the more crafty guys in the history of baseball. You know what?
The reason I'm having Jamie on tomorrow. Well, first of all, we're in Seattle.
Yeah.
He's big here. He had a lot of success. But I just stepped off I was just having lunch with him. So I said, Moyer, you got to come and do the podcast tomorrow because we're gonna have it all-star themed. So Jamie was a teammate of mine for 5 years, and he is. I'll tell you, there's a handful of guys you play with during your career. I played with a lot of great pitchers, a lot of guys that had great stuff, but there's only a handful that in a big game, a game 6 in the postseason, a decider game, there's only a handful of guys I want on the mound, and Jamie Moyer was one of those guys, because I knew no matter what the outcome was going to be of that game, it wasn't going to be because the moment was too big. Jamie wasn't going to lose the game because he was scared. He was going to lose the game because the game's really hard and sometimes they get you. So, yeah, he's one of those gamers, and been friends a long time.
Bret Boone's with us. He's in there in Seattle getting ready for the Home Run Derby. So you were in a couple of these things. You had mixed results. Tell us what it's like, and how do you stay calm and kind of measured where you're pacing yourself, but you're still, cranking out jacks?
Well, I'll tell you, the rules are different now. I think they've tweaked it through the years. I think they've got a great formula now with the Home Run Derby. I think it's, they've got it to a science where it's on a timer. You see a lot of action. I think it's great for the fans. Back in my day, it was if you didn't hit a home run, that was an out. So we didn't hit as many.
Right.
But I remember my first Derby, I got asked to do it. It was in Seattle. We were having that monster year in '01. We had 8 All-Star representatives, and they asked me to do the Derby. I said, of course I'll do the Derby. And I remember just going to the plate going, all right, just don't embarrass yourself. Save face, hit a few.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what happened. I got one of the biggest standing ovations I've ever got in my career. And it was just my hometown, and I did all right. And I think I tied Sammy Sosa. Back at that time, there was no, you didn't have there was a tiebreaker, but the tiebreaker was who had more home runs at the break. I think I had 22 and Sammy had 27. So he went on to the next round, got booed out of the stadium by the Seattle crowd. But that was my first one. As you alluded to, my second one was a little bit one to remember. and I didn't live it down. The rest of the '03 season, every city I went to, that's all I heard was nice home run derby, Boone. My teammates gave me a hard time when I came back. My teammates gave me a hard time when I came back from the All-Star break because I hit 0. And they said, my teammates are ribbing me, and I kind of looked at, especially the hitters, and I said, listen, try being asked to go to a home run derby before you have an opinion. So that's the way I look at it.
If you talk to the current stars of today's game, would you tell them, hey, the home run derby if you're a power guy, just do it once. It's really important.
Well, I I don't know how you turn it down. For a guy like me, I grew up in the game. I missed playing with my dad by 1 year. So my whole life has been baseball. And every award I was ever given, every All-Star game, I was like a kid in a candy shop. It's like, of course I'm going to take advantage. I had the foresight to think, this doesn't last forever. This is a small window that we have. And even today, even though that wasn't my big thing is home run derbies, every time I'd be asked to go on a home run derby, I would do it. Because how many times you get to ask to be in a home run derby? And one day when you're sitting on the porch, when you're old thinking, oh, I got to play in 5 derbies. So if I was eligible to be in 5 derbies, I would have said yes every time, even though I knew that wasn't my thing. I think you take advantage of everything. Now being a ex-player and now I'm over 50 years old, and I look back at my career and I just think, man, I'm glad I did everything and got the most out of it, because time flies and you just don't get these times back. So I don't know if that would be my I guess my advice to young players would be, take advantage of everything you possibly can. See everything, do everything, because one day you'll be glad you did.
Bret Boone podcast, you got to check it out. Bret Boone is with us from Seattle. We got 2 minutes left, guys. Go ahead, Willie.
Brett, so, this is a day and age where everybody loves lists, right? Bloggers, radio hosts, podcasters, we all love lists. And every time there's an all-star break, be it the NBA, Major League, NFL, whatever, we talk, well, who's the best? Which has the best? Has the MLB all-star break lost its luster? Or and take it from a fan's perspective, take yourself off the field as a former player.
Right.
Where's it at?
I don't know, because I think when you're playing, you're just kind of wrapped up in it. As you're a player and you're sheltered from everything, I know as a player, you kind of shy away. You stay in your room. You want to go to limited events because you're playing a 162-game schedule, and you're just there because it's a part of what you do. You were honored in the All-Star game, and that's what you do. You show up, so you really don't see your surroundings that much because you're getting shuffled from one spot to the next, so you don't really have an idea of what it's like. Now, looking at it from an ex-player, I'm coming back to my city of Seattle. I'm doing 100 appearances, it seems like, in 5 days. I'm walking around this city. The city's on fire. They have Lumen Field, which is Seahawks Field, next to T-Mobile, that they have set up for all the extracurriculars, people taking batting practice. From what I'm seeing, all the exhibits set up. From what I'm seeing, the fans are coming out. I'm just about to go out. I'm going to do an award ceremony before the home run derby tonight on the field. I played in the celebrity softball game 2 nights ago. There was probably 30,000 people there. So from what I'm seeing, they're putting on a really good show. And, Julio's the hometown favorite here. He's going to be in the derby tonight. So I don't know. So far, so good.
Brett, I got 20 seconds left. I know you're busy too, so I'm assuming you're rooting for Julio. I'm only 5'9", so I'm going to root for Mookie Betts.
Mookie Betts, I'd say he's got no chance.
Okay.
I'm just gauging on his swing. Like I said, some guys are great at it. Some of the greatest players I ever played against. Mike Piazza comes to mind. Jeff Bagwell, horrible at the home run derby. I remember Alex Rodriguez telling me, I'll never do another derby because I'm horrible at it. Some guys just don't have a knack for it.
Yeah.
I think the kids today are more equipped. I think they prepare for it. If I had to pick one, Julio, that's a lot of pressure. Hometown, I'm going to go with Vladimir Guerrero.
All right. Hey, Brett, we appreciate it. We know you squeezed us in. Thank you so much.
You got it. My pleasure, guys.
There he is, Bret Boone, up on ESPN Las Vegas. He's part of the Odyssey podcast team now with the Bret Boone podcast.